So you got a spot, huh?
Yeah. It was good.
Size of your spot.
We have access to water.
Hopefully, since we're over there.
No, we're gonna meet afterwards.
Sign in,
Okay.
he'll sign in your spot.
Yeah.
Just trailer.
You're going I mean, I would never thought her my grandfather. So I wrote her a letter back.
Good morning and welcome to the Berry County Board of Commissioners meeting for August 22nd, 2023. If you would please stand for invocation and pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another awesome day in Berry County. We thank you for your blessing and your guidance and your protection over this board, over everybody in this room, and over our land. We ask your continued guidance as we go through these meetings and through this year as we continue to solve the difficult problems that face the county. We just appreciate your love and your guidance and your leadership. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. For purposes of attendance, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Carlton.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Doster.
Present.
Getty.
Here.
Hatfield.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Smelker.
Here.
And Tunison.
Here. Thank you. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any member of the public of the board wishing to remove an item from the consent agenda may do so now. Any member of the board wish to amend the agenda additionally? The agenda is approved as written. Reports from state and county officers. Any state and county officers present who would like to give the board an update? I understand we have a special presentation today.
Yes, we do. Some exciting news that happened back in our corrections. I'm speaking to the mic now, okay? All right. On April 20th at approximately 1:50 in the afternoons, Deputy Susan McCracken was alerted via the video surveillance system to a situation that did not seem right. She immediately responded to that holding cell to find an inmate covered by a blanket on the floor with a sock tied around their neck attempting suicide. The inmate was unresponsive, their face was very blue, and they were not breathing. Deputy McCracken attempted to untie the socks, but was unable to do so because they were tied in several double knots. Deputy McCracken quickly assessed her cut-down tool and cut the socks from the inmate's neck and began to perform CPR. After 10 to 15 chest compressions, the inmate started breathing and had a strong pulse, and the color of her face returned to normal. Deputy McCracken's actions during this emergency, being diligent in her observations and quick to respond to her instincts and training, saved this person's life. Deputy McCracken's exemplary performance to the situation is consistent with our mission, vision, and value statement, and we hereby present her with a life-saving award. So, Susan, on behalf of the Berry County Sheriff's Office and the people of Berry County, we present to you this life-saving award to Corrections Deputy Susan McCracken in recognition of her assistance to an inmate that was unresponsive on April 20th, 2023. We have these pins that we see on our uniforms, and that's what a lot of them are. This is the newer life-saving awards. This will be presented to Sue for her dress-up uniform, and she can wear that proudly. So, thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Bye.
Jason, did you get the photo?
I did, yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean, could we step out of here? Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other state and county officers present that would like to address the board? Hearing none, limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes. Okay, we will move ahead with our agenda. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have correspondence they'd like to share with the board? Wow, you guys are going to behave today. Consent items, Commissioner Getty.
I move for the approval of the August 8, 2023 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Getty, support by Smelker for all items listed on the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Doster.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Jackson.
The consent agenda is approved. Presentations. We are honored to have Courtney Zinni, our Director of Commission on Aging, with us today for our annual report. Good morning, Courtney.
Morning, thank you. I'm going to move that a little so I'm speaking into it. So my name is Courtney Zinni, and I would like to thank the CLA board members that are attending today, Betsy Colgan, Terry Dennison, Jennifer DeWitt, and Cheryl Lewis-Blake. Thank you guys for coming. So as you know, I'm fairly new to this role, and this is my first service report to the board. I have so much information I wanted to give, so I wrote it down. So I apologize ahead of time for reading, but I didn't want to start babbling on and on. So I wanted to start by quickly sharing some background information. Congress passed the Older Americans Act in 1965 in response to concern about a lack of community social services for older persons. It established the Administration of Aging within the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare and called for the creation of state units of aging. That was the same year that Medicare and Medicaid were established. As a side note, this act is reauthorized every so often. Congress is currently considering the first significant update to those regulations in more than 30 years. So you can find all that on the internet. But that's kind of what's going on in our life right now as we're paying attention to those regulation changes. In 1974, Title 20 of the Social Security Amendments authorized grants to states for social services. Among those programs first funded were homemaker services, adult daycare services, and nutrition assistance. In December of 1974, the Berry County Commission on Aging was established by the Board of Commissioners as a permanent part of county government. The late 1970s included the beginning of homemaking and personal care programs and taking over the administration of both congregate and home-delivered meal nutrition programs. So kind of an interesting fact, which I didn't know until I started to prepare this report, was that we've served meals at our Woodland congregate site, on the same site for 44 years, and at our Delton site for 40 years. So there's a lot of longevity within the services that we provide. In August of 1990, the Berry County community generously passed the Senior Citizens Millage for COA. In 2003, we moved into our current location on Woodlawn Avenue, where we finally had the space to add adult day services. So that kind of brings us to today. So today, 26.5% of Berry County residents are over the age of 60. An additional 15% of our residents are ages 50 to 59. Data shows that number will continue to climb. In addition, many of our seniors are struggling to pay for their household basic needs. The bare minimum cost of a household for a single senior is estimated at over $2,400 a month. 51% of Michigan seniors fall below that threshold. Here in Berry County, 44% of our seniors are living below that threshold. Commission on Aging is here to offer a variety of services to all Berry County seniors. Our mission is to provide innovative services and resources to promote and support independence, dignity, and quality of life throughout the journey of aging for Berry County seniors and their families. We are constantly striving to meet the ever-changing needs of our aging population. We proudly serve residents in all of Berry County municipalities. Staff travels nearly 10,000 miles a month to make sure that we're reaching all of Berry County. Commission on Aging serves and supports Berry County seniors and their families by providing nutrition services, which include our congregate dining in 3 different locations, our Meals on Wheels program that reaches all 4 corners of the county, our restaurant card program for those areas not served by a congregate site, and nutrition education delivered in a variety of ways. All nutrition services are provided on a donation basis, meaning that we provide the service regardless of if the senior is able to pay or not. On average, over 5,500 meals are served a month. This number has been steadily increasing for the last several months. In fact, we were allocated funding from state and federal funds for just over 32,000 home-delivered meals for this grant period. We passed that number about 7 months into the grant period, and we project by the end of the 12-month period, we will have served nearly 51,000 home-delivered meals. 25% of the COA budget goes towards supporting the home-delivered meals program, also known as Meals on Wheels. The senior millage, funding from Berry County United Way, and contributions from seniors help us fill the gap for this service. This has been tremendously helpful as the cost of food and supplies has significantly increased. We're very proud of the fact that we do not have a waiting list for our Meals on Wheels program and that clients are able to get meals 5 days a week. This daily delivery model, not used by many other organizations, allows us to be an additional safety tool for seniors living home by themselves. Lives have been saved because of this. We also support Berry County seniors and their families by providing in-home services such as personal care, homemaking, and respite. Over 320 hours of service are provided each week by trained staff at reduced and affordable pricing. Other services we provide are adult day services for those with dementia, Alzheimer's, or other memory issues, Medicare and Medicaid assistance by trained volunteers, and in fact, in 1993, we were the first in our region to provide that service. Medical equipment rental, and of course, we have our free weekly activities, which include things like our painting group, line dancing, bingo, and walking club. COA also partners with other community service organizations like area libraries, the YMCA, Corewell Health, and MSU Extension to provide educational workshops and classes for seniors. We've even partnered with the Secretary of State to hold several mobile SOS events. We also strive to provide other opportunities such as events and trips for seniors to engage with the community and each other. We've had some fun dinners, several veterans breakfasts, a Valentine's ball, a Mother's Day tea, an afternoon at Pierce Cedar Creek, and a grandparent-grandchild cake decorating contest, which ended up being very, they were serious about that. So now we're going to do a Christmas decorating cookie, so if anyone is interested in that, we'll be signing people up for that soon. You might have even noticed us 2 weeks ago enjoying Fridays at the Fountain. We served pizza and snacks to over 40 seniors while enjoying a great musical performance by the Hastings Heartbeats. We had coordinated with Carvath Village so that they attended at the same time, and then we were pleasantly surprised when Thornapple Manor had a big bus too. So that Friday 2 weeks ago, the entire courthouse lawn was filled with seniors. It was really kind of interesting and cool to see. So as you can see, COA provides many valuable services both inside and outside of our building. In fact, we are unique in that all these services for seniors are administered by one organization. In other communities, there may be one organization providing nutrition assistance, another running the senior center, and yet another providing adult day services. Because Berry County services are centralized, it allows for easier access for seniors and their families, for additional services to be quickly added as a person progresses through the aging process, and it provides great continuity of care for our community. We look forward to sharing our new building plans and vision for the future with the community in the near future. We'll be having community engagement events and would love to hear what services and activities Berry County seniors would like to see us add. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Courtney. That was efficient. A lot of information, and I really appreciate the handouts and the flyers as well, because those are great guides for people who are not familiar with what you do. And personally, I wanted to say thank you. You had some big shoes to fill stepping into this role, coming in behind Tammy, who had been there for several years, and you're doing an awesome job.
Thank you very
So
much.
the leadership is appreciated, and sometimes a different vision, a change of vision, different eyeballs are good. I like the board that you're working with and selected. You've got people who really care about seniors in our community, and I really like the direction this is going. So I appreciate the energy and the effort you put into it. I know some days it probably feels like you're herding cats. There's a lot of ideas and a lot of opinions, but they've all got good hearts, and everybody wants to get in the same direction. So just a couple questions. I know the state, through COVID, was handing out a lot of money. Do you have people actively working on both state and federal grants? I see that's a fairly large percentage of your budget as well, after the 65% of the millage.
So our state and federal funding comes down through the Area Agency on Aging, which is Carewell Services of Southwest Michigan out of Calhoun County. So they serve Calhoun and Berry County. So those state and federal dollars come through them. And then there's a calculation of if they get X dollars, how much goes towards Berry County and how much goes towards Calhoun County. So we have been very blessed the last couple of years with the additional ARPA funding. We've been able to purchase 2 trucks through that funding. And we've been able to purchase some kitchen equipment. We've been able to get additional reimbursement for some of our meals since we have gone over our allotted amount. That does change next year. So certainly looking at what other funding opportunities there might be out there for us to go after.
Okay. Right now, what is your capacity for adult day services?
Right now, we can have 9 at a time. And there are times of the day during the week that we do see 9 clients at a time in there. So that's based on space and staffing.
Do you see that being a need that's growing in the county?
We see Alzheimer's care, memory care issues growing, especially as the population continues to grow. COVID had a lot of effect on that, but yes, we see that more and more people want to take care of their family members at home, but maybe they're still working. So we do anticipate that that's going to be one of the areas where we grow and continue to see the need.
Awesome. In-home services, I know you mentioned 320 hours a week, personal care, light housekeeping, in-home respite. Are these employees of COA, or are these contractors? How are these?
They're COA employees.
Okay.
Yep. So they're part-time employees that work about 37 hours a week,
Okay, fantastic.
and they travel like crazy.
I bet they do. But that's just a big need to keep seniors in their homes. Have you seen now, with hopefully COVID winding down, continuing to wind down, I know there was a lot of isolation concerns with seniors going through COVID because they just didn't want people out, they didn't want contact, they didn't want thing. Are we getting through that?
Yeah. I think there's been a huge increase just in the time I've taken over COA. Their comfort level has changed. So in the last 12 months, we've seen them return to bigger events. So like our holiday party in December was record-breaking. The senior day at the fair, just blew everyone's mind about how many attendees there actually were. So we're definitely seeing that comfort level start to come back. They're still concerned. We might still have people wearing masks every now and then, and that's just, personal, what they feel that is necessary, so.
Yeah. That's great news, absolutely.
Yep.
Questions from commissioners? Commissioner Tunison.
Well, I've had the privilege of being around Courtney quite a bit since the first year I was on the building committee, and what an honor that's been for me to really understand a lot of things that they do up there that I didn't even know. I had no idea about the daycare, and I was glad you elaborated on that today on a lot of your services. But I see your staff up there, it's amazing staff, and how they care about people. And it's great for the community, all your devotion for everybody up there. So I want to thank you.
Thank you very
personally.
much. We appreciate the effort you've put into being on the building committee and providing your expertise, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Campbell.
I have no questions.
Commissioner Hatfield.
Great report, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Doster.
Could you give an update on how the building committee is progressing?
Sure. So we do have a steering committee meeting tomorrow, and that will be a first look at what is actually the 4th draft of the building configuration. So right now, we're just looking at, does this configuration work? And then from there, we'll delve a little bit deeper into the actual cost and square footage of each individual section, or, what for each service. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll just be looking at the schematic, just a block diagram, basically, hoping by September to have some more of those details filled in.
And then what do you foresee as a process of going forward to make this a reality?
Well, I would foresee, I feel like I'm speaking out of turn a little bit, but I would foresee if the timeline can continue as we're anticipating that it will continue, by the end of the year, I would like to have the commissioners allocate the $3 million that they've said that they would towards that, which gives us then the additional amount that we need to raise, and then I don't know, it's going as quick as I think it can. So I anticipate we can't keep we need to do it quicker rather than, take our time too much because of costs continuing to rise. So I think as soon as we have a good plan, then we'll have a plan from there as well. So I would anticipate to be able to better answer that question by the end of September for you.
Do you have a ballpark of how much additional funds you're thinking of at this point? Until
I do
you have
not.
your plan?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Carlton?
I'm the commissioner representative on the COA board, and I've been on it before, and I really like the energy that's happening right now. I love Courtney's leadership, and now I feel more engaged because I'm not just on the board, I'm also now a client, because this month I'm trying the senior meal program. We don't have a feeding site in Nashville. So this is a great thing, and I want to tell others in Nashville about it. So I'm trying it this month, and I am 65 years old. I get Medicare, now. So I've reached that point, and so I really love what they're doing in reaching out to the corners of the county with their programs, and I think just the big thing is more people need to know about what a great job they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Commissioner Getty?
Boy, I think you guys said everything. I've been impressed with the energy around COA, around the meals that you're serving. I think you're headed in the right direction. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smelker?
I think you're doing a great job. I like the way you are expediting things to get this done as much as you can. I like the way that you are cooperating with other entities here. I think it's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, can I say one more thing?
Yes.
What I've been impressed about through this whole process of this building committee and stuff is the cooperation that I'm seeing between Thornapple Manor and COA on you guys getting together. And that was a vision that I think a lot of us had when this took place. And unreal how this is coming together, and the cooperation between Becky and you, and we realize your COA is going to have its own identity. She understands that, but the utilization of a lot of things that they have and what you do is going to be great for that whole area out there. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming in, doing your first annual report. So, and hopefully we'll see you every year and continue to have great updates. I know we're going to be working closely together over the next year to be sure this building gets off and running. So, but thank you, Courtney, and thanks to your team that was here today as well. Thanks for coming. Public hearings, we have none. Items for consideration, Commissioner Smelker.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of claims in the amount of $134,038.74.
Is there support? Motion by Smelker, support by Hatfield for approval of claims in the amount of $134,038.74. Geez, can spit that out today. I need more coffee, but discussion. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Doster.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Carlton.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. County Administrator's report.
I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Chairperson's report. I had a wonderful almost 2 weeks up at Torch Lake, and I really missed you guys, so. Really missed you guys. Thought about you a lot.
Yeah.
Vice Chairperson's report.
After that report, I don't know what to say. This is in and out. I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Tunison.
I attended Hastings, Carlton, and Rutland Townships. Everything seems to be going pretty smooth. They did talk a lot about the future of Birch, the fire department and stuff like that. They're going to need additional funding for new equipment and stuff like that. So a lot of discussion on the future of that.
Commissioner Campbell.
I attended Johnstown Township meeting, An informative presentation pertaining to the solar panel fields was given by several reps from Consumer Energy. It was well attended, as this is a large topic of interest in our area. Some township board members have asked to be considered for a part of the regulation process that we do at the zoning department now to determine the requirements for the solar field providers. We also had a nice presentation there from the new owners at Swiss Lane Farms, which is the old Halbert Farm on 37, just before you get to Bedford, long ways from this area. Some amazing things going on with farming development. It was a very informative talk. I also attended the Barry Eaton Health Department meeting last Friday. As in many areas, attracting and keeping employees has become a challenge. We did approve a variety of increases to the non-represented employees and gave permission to Colette Scringer to open negotiations on wages January 1st of '24, which is a year earlier than what their contract was set for. I'll be attending DHS and Thornapple Manor board meetings tomorrow, and CAA will be on Monday at Battle Creek.
Thank you. Very informative. Commissioner Smelker.
Only had one meeting at Thornapple, and things seem to be running real smooth at Thornapple. So
Awesome.
that's all I got.
Commissioner Getty.
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Colton.
So this month I attended Maple Grove Township, Castleton Township, Woodland Township, Village of Nashville, and Village of Woodland. We had some, I kind of brought it up because people were very interested in the master plan, the aspect of the alternative energies and solar. And they were interested in what was happening with that, what's the requirements of that, problems and opportunities with that. So a lot of questions there. In Nashville, and something that really got it going was Catherine's presentation on Blue Zones of the idea of a community garden. They have one in Delton. And this coming meeting in Nashville, they're going to approve beginning a community garden. They have selected a site. There's water and such, plenty of room, and excited about that. We have not just Blue Zones as a partner, but also the food bank is willing to accept any kind of fresh produce because people really need it. And we'll bring on the Route 66 Business District too as partners. So excited about that.
Boy, that's awesome. Thank you. Commissioner Doster.
I have a couple thoughts on the old friend of the court building that I'd like to just throw out there before we get too far down the road where it's all committed to. If I recall correctly, when the friend of the court moved in there, that building, there was a study done by the county, a facilities study, and that building was studied, and it was determined at that point that that it should be used for a single entity and not a mix match of different offices due to the configuration of the building. One thought that I had that might do that is mental health currently rents several office spaces for their administration that they do not have room for at the health department or at the mental health department. They are also, I think, are writing grants for a few additional employees that would require offices, and it might be an opportunity for them to have a single unit that would be downtown that was also be close enough to their other building to work well. Another thought that I had, and this is a little farther fetched probably, but something that you only actually get one opportunity to try, and that would be looking at the capacity at the jail. We know that that's approximately half of what that jail was built for. And talking to the judges here in the trial court system, it appears that that is going to be a long-term trend. They are trying many ways to diversify punishment that does not include jail. So the idea of needing a large jail might not be feasible anymore. There are other counties surrounding us that have recently built large jails that also provide very substantial services. I think Eaton County has been brought up. It might behoove us to look at just what it would cost to rent spaces for a jail if we were going to actually abandon that piece of property. We might be surprised now with interest rates so high, big building projects are quite expensive on the long run. We might be surprised to find out that the interest that we would pay on a building would be enough to pay for leasing spaces in another jail. The court system has changed dramatically since I was involved in it as a public defender. There are not nearly as many appearances. A lot of the cases are done electronically. It's entirely possible that you would only need to transfer people to the sentencing. One carload a week or something might all that would be needed to do that. Of course, you would still have the issue of the sheriff's office needing space, of which I was thinking that the friend of the court might be a good option for that. It was once the cop shop for the city, so it is built in a configuration where you could have an overnight cell. You could have individual offices. They're very different types. There are 2 offices with their own bathrooms. Executive offices or smaller offices. There's also a very large area that had been cut up with the cubicles, although you could use that in a myriad of ways. But anyways, those are the 2 thoughts I'd like to just get out there that to see if there's any traction to those as an option.
Okay. We've discussed several of those in the past, and we know that housing prisoners out of county is extremely expensive and would potentially bankrupt the county over a long term doing that. The cost is so much more than doing it in-house. So,
well, I'd like to see those numbers because since interest rates have changed so dramatically, it's possible, and I don't know what those numbers are, but I would like some sort of investigation as to what those numbers would be.
okay. Commissioner Hatfield.
Just a quick comment to Commissioner Colton's comments. Jim McManus will be coming back in sometime in September when he's got the final version of the master plan, and that will be a great time to have him give us an update on what's going on with solar and wind, as well as talk a little bit more to clarify exactly what a master plan does in terms of is it a mandate, or is it a recommendation, or is it simply a vision? So it'll be a good time to have that discussion.
Okay.
But one thing of clarity, right? As of now, there's no rules by the state or anybody on regulations with solar, right? On if you were to sell your piece of property.
That's my
That's-
understanding,
yeah, right.
yes, but the state is working on
Yeah.
both of those issues,
Right.
kind of in tandem with what they're doing with the mining.
Right.
Yeah, I think coming out of the meeting the other night, that there is a lot of extreme regulations on them right now already. And what they're waiting for right now before they proceed is for the county's take on it, our regulations, our ordinance, whatever we set up that governs that is what they're waiting for now on that project down there, so.
That'll go through planning and zoning, though? Will that go through planning and zoning?
Jim's already working on both of those.
I'd like to relay a question to you, David. A question was brought up in the Village of Nashville meetings, asking that if you're putting solar panels on a piece of agricultural property, is that consistent with the zoning of agriculture, or does that require a different type of zoning?
I don't think that there's a finite answer to that at this point, but that's part of what's being worked on.
Okay. Good. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, Cindy, my apologies before you start. We just rebuilt the computer and of all things, the clock, we're not able to pop up, so.
Oh, that's okay. I always go over anyways. Doesn't matter to me, let the clock stay dead.
You got 6 minutes. You got 6
That's
minutes.
right. Good morning. And I stand before you right now not as your superior, but as a equal, an elected servant representing Prairieville Township as a precinct delegate. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to update you a little bit of what's going on in Prairieville Township. August 9th, there was a special meeting of Prairieville Township Board. This meeting was called to discuss 2 special assessment intent resolutions. The first intent resolution was an intent to establish Bayview Special Assessment District which was initiated by a petition with over 61% of the frontage residents approving the assessment district for road repair. The second and third were for fire and police protection. These were tabled after an extensive discussion between the board members and the residents, and it was quite refreshing because the board opened dialect up between the residents that were there and themselves. And we had a really good, open, transparent discussion back and forth. The purchase of early election equipment for less than $12,700 was approved. The purchase of 2 digital speed signs at $7,230 was approved. And public comments included several thank yous to the board for the opening of the discussion of the resolutions to the residents present, for keeping the right of the people to decide and vote for taxes that they will have to pay. The residents stated that they are committed to working with the board to making sure that the police and fire departments have the money necessary to function. And the township attorney commented, I appreciate how you listen to your community. You are my favorite clients because of your support to the community. And then on August 16th, we had our regular township meeting, and the fire department reported that they now have 2 state-certified EMTs. They hired Clint Post who is a certified medical first responder and a certified firefighter, and then both the north and south ends of the fire department were paved. The police department reported Officer Paul Green is now qualified to teach and train as he completed a firearm course. The parks report was the bathrooms at Gull Lake are being worked on, the gate needs a new motor, and they are asking the board to look into a new website. The supervisor report, the state denied the request to lower the speed limit around Gull Lake, and they're looking into the possibility of making the intersection of Pine Lake Road and Norris Road a 4-way stop. The lake level project at Pine Lake has now been tabled, and we were informed that Commissioner Jackson will share more at the next township meeting regarding that. Commissioner Jackson had called and said that he would not be at the meeting tonight due to being on vacation, and I hope you had a good time. Commissioner Doster refused to come to the township meeting when contacted. Commissioner Doster stated that if anybody wants to know what's going on at the county commissioner meetings, they are online and can watch them there. Trustee reports. Trustee Doster said that the Planning Commission had 2 public hearings that were canceled. The Prairieville Police Durango is now decommissioned and ready to be sold. And last month there was a welfare check where the door had to be kicked in. Thankfully, the elder gentleman was okay, and trustee Doster fixed the door. Trustee DeVries.
Can you summarize, Cindy?
I have just a real quick. Trustee DeVries said there was no ZBA meeting, and they need printed ordinances done, updated, and asked that how much time had Jim Dahl spent on the lake level project at Pine Lake. And then they passed a resolution to approve a class investment option. Discussions regarding a minute taker for the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals took place, and it was a consensus of the board that the Deputy Clerk Pagango would continue taking the minutes.
Thank you.
During public comment, it was reiterated that the appreciation of the board's willingness to work with the community, and that the residents requested that transparency where money is being spent continues. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see you again. Is there additional public comment? Hearing none. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Tunison?
Looking forward tomorrow to the steering committee. Public's welcome. Be at Harvest Point at 10 o'clock. We'll be looking at some plans for the new COA building.
Awesome.
Revised plans. So what they've got going there is a really great thing. The vision that they have is unreal for the interaction between Harvest Point and the COA and how the people could intermingle. It was really very interesting to sit there and be part of it. So
It's a great vision for what can happen out there.
it
with
is
that complex.
great vision. Yep.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah. Just make a public announcement. We are putting together a big concert out in Delton. It's going to be called the Vet Fest for veterans. It's aimed at thanking our veterans, of course. It'll be a 5-hour concert that's at the park there behind the fire barn on September 9th. VFW, which I'm a commander of, will be furnishing food and soft drinks and stuff for the day. And then afterwards, we're going to have an after party at the VFW post to continue celebrating our veterans.
Then the after party's at your house after the after party?
Unfortunately, I don't last that long.
Commissioner Hatfield?
I have nothing.
Commissioner Smelker?
We have an upcoming meeting with Middleville ZBA on the 800 megahertz tower coming up at the end of the month.
Awesome. Commissioner Getty?
I've had the pleasure of attending a lot of festivals around the county the last 6 weeks or so. Dalton, Charlton Park, we have Summerfest this coming weekend. Unfortunately, Heritage Days is the same day as the Vet Fest in Middleville, so I might figure out a creative way to split my time, but maybe not make it down there. But I would encourage everyone to get out. It really is a way to meet a lot of new people around the county in a festival environment. So I'm enjoying it.
Mr. Calton? Commissioner Doster?
Nothing further.
Okay. A few things. One thing, two things. I have been talking to Greg Moore with Consumers Energy about some of the potential zoning and some of the things happening down in the southern part of the county. I'm very interested in that project just because it'll be a fairly large project, but the one thing that's interesting is the renewable natural gas portion of that project, where they're going to continue to have an operational farm that's there now, but they're going to be able to take some of that product and use that to create natural gas just out of the process. I can't explain it to you. Greg would be a much better, and he'll do a presentation for us at some point, but the renewable natural gas part of that is very interesting to see what we can do right here in Berry County. The other thing is I feel like we're straying a little bit because you have commissioner reports, which is designed kind of to give an update as far as what you're doing, and we have commissioner comments, which is designed for you to talk about all kinds of other things. Let's try to keep those two separate. Some of the things we need to focus on. If you have a report, let's talk about the report. Things that want to go into commissioner comments, let's keep those in commissioner comments, and we'll keep those separate. And then we can have a more lengthy, open dialogue about some of that stuff as well. So, make sense? Okay. I appreciate that. 46 minutes and not bad this morning. You have next Tuesday off as well. I know it feels like vacation for you guys too, not having to work a couple Tuesdays this month, but enjoy, and we will see you for the first